Dr. Marcus Hale was not a soldier. He was not a diplomat, not a hero, and definitely not someone who liked surprises. He was a xenolinguist, a person who studied alien languages. Most of the time, he sat at a computer in his small lab on Orbital Station 9, translating alien texts, learning grammar rules, and drinking too much coffee. So when two tall, golden-skinned Jerahi envoys arrived at the station and said, "You have been selected for the honor of the season," Marcus nearly dropped his mug. "The honor of what now?" he asked, blinking. The Jerahi didn't blink, because they had no eyelids, but their antennae twitched politely. "It is mating season on our homeworld, Travak. You, Dr. Hale, have been chosen as this cycle's outside assistant. You must come at once. The rituals begin in 3 days." Marcus had read about Jerahi mating season in a few old science journals. Every few years, their species held a series of complex rituals involving music, storytelling, and something translated as the undressing. The reports were vague. No human had ever been invited to take part. Most scientists assumed the Jerahi were just shy about it. Now he was being personally asked to attend and assist in whatever undressing meant. Marcus gulped. "Do I get to ask questions?" "You may ask," said the taller envoy, her voice soft and chime-like. "But the answers will come faster if you come with us." Marcus stood at the viewing window of the shuttle as it descended to Travak. Below, the planet glowed with bright blues and soft greens. The atmosphere sparkled with floating pollen. Trees like glass towers swayed in the wind, and crystal rivers wound through the landscape. Travak looked peaceful, beautiful, safe. Marcus didn't feel any of those things. His shuttle landed on a long silver platform surrounded by vines that hummed with music. A soft, warm breeze greeted him. A group of Jerahi stood waiting in a wide circle. They bowed as one. "Welcome, chosen human," said a Jerahi elder, dressed in robes made from what looked like woven sunlight. "We thank you for coming. The season begins soon, and we require your human gift." Marcus tried to smile. "You're welcome, just one question." "What exactly is my gift?" The elder's antennae lifted. "You will help begin the undressing. You will assist in the emotional disarmament of our bonded pairs. Your species is skilled in this way. Your music, your touch, your storytelling, these open hearts." Marcus blinked. "Wait, when you say undressing, you mean emotionally?" The elder tilted his head. "Of course. We have no physical coverings, but we do have shields. Walls around our thoughts and feelings. Mating cannot begin until those walls are lowered." Marcus let out a long breath. This was starting to make a little more sense. But also somehow, even stranger, the palace of the Jerahi was not made of stone or metal. It was alive, grown from the branches of a tree the size of a city. The halls were smooth and curved, filled with soft lights and quiet songs sung by the walls themselves. Marcus was shown to a guest room. A jelly-like chair shaped itself around his body as he sat. A translator pod floated near his head. A voice came through the wall. "Your first pair awaits you in the Chamber of Echoes. They are hesitant. You must begin gently." Marcus sighed and stood. "No pressure," he muttered. The Chamber of Echoes was round and filled with soft light. Two Jerahi stood inside. One was tall and deep red, the other small and shimmering blue. They looked at Marcus with uncertain eyes. "I'm Dr. Marcus Hale," he said slowly. "I'm here to help. I don't really know how, but I'm willing to try." The red one spoke first. "We are Say Len and Trivakol. We have chosen to bond, but we cannot begin the ritual. We are afraid." Marcus nodded. "That's normal. Even on Earth, love can be scary." Trivakol tilted her head. "But humans are brave in love. You sing songs, you write poems, you hold hands, you dance." Marcus smiled. "Sometimes we also run away and eat ice cream. But yes, we try." The two Jerahi waited silently. Marcus sat cross-legged on the soft floor. He looked at them both and said, "Let me tell you a story." He told them a simple tale, one from Earth about two people who didn't speak the same language but found friendship through music. As he spoke, the room changed color. The walls echoed his words softly. The Jirahi listened unmoving, but their antennae slowly lowered, a sign of comfort. Then Marcus pulled out a small speaker from his bag. He played a quiet earth song, a gentle piano piece full of hope and longing. Salen tilted his head. Trivakol stepped closer to the speaker, curious. "This is what love sounds like on Earth," Marcus said. The Jirahi stepped closer to each other. For a long time they stood silently. Then slowly they touched antennae. A soft chime rang through the chamber. They had begun their bonding. Marcus was quiet on his walk back to the guest room. He felt strange, tired but also light. Like something important had happened, though he didn't fully understand it. In the hallway, the elder was waiting. He bowed deeply. "You have begun the season," the elder said. "Others will come to you now. Your presence awakens something long buried in us." Marcus scratched his head. "I didn't really do much. I just shared a story. A song. And that," the elder said, "is what we cannot do for ourselves. That is your gift." As night fell on Trivak, the glowing trees swayed in the wind and the stars above blinked quietly. Marcus sat by his window, watching the alien sky. He had come expecting confusion, maybe embarrassment, possibly a lot of cultural misunderstandings. He hadn't expected to feel needed, and this was only the first day. Marcus Hale woke up to the sound of soft music coming from the walls. At first he thought he was dreaming, but then he remembered. He was on Trivak, the Jirahi homeworld, and he was the first human ever chosen to assist during their mating season. He stretched, stood up, and looked out of the wide glass window. The alien trees glowed gently in the morning light. The sky shimmered with floating pollen that sparkled like gold dust. It was a beautiful place, but strange. He still wasn't sure why he had been chosen. He wasn't a healer. He wasn't a leader. He was just a language expert who liked stories. As he got ready, a round floating bot entered his room and blinked politely. "Good morning, chosen human," it said in a soft tone. "You have 4 bonding sessions scheduled today. Please eat and prepare." 4? Marcus rubbed his face. "I thought I was just helping 1 or 2 couples." "There has been great interest in your methods," the bot replied. "Many pairs are struggling. They seek your assistance." Marcus sighed. This was going to be a long day. The first couple was waiting in a round chamber full of soft vines and glowing lights. Their names were Verno and Hisalan. Both looked nervous. Verno spoke first. "We have shared life for 5 cycles. We should bond now, but we cannot begin the emotional undressing." Hissa lowered her antennae. "We do not know how to show feeling. Not fully. Not without shame." Marcus nodded. "That's okay. Where I come from, it's hard for many people too." He sat with them and asked them simple questions. What made them laugh? What memory hurt the most? What did they admire in each other? At first they were quiet, but slowly, with gentle words and one of Marcus's favorite Earth songs playing in the background, they began to speak. They told each other stories they had never shared before. And as the hour passed, their antennae touched. A soft golden light filled the room. Another successful connection. By the time Marcus finished his second session of the day, he was exhausted, but also amazed. The Jirahi, though very different from humans in appearance, shared many of the same struggles: fear of rejection, difficulty expressing emotion, worry that they were not good enough. He understood them more with every session, and they somehow seemed to understand him. After lunch, which was a soft jelly that tasted oddly like vanilla and pepper, Marcus was taken to a different kind of chamber, this one larger with more observers. It seemed the Council of Elders wanted to watch one of his sessions. He felt nervous. What if he failed in front of them? What if they decided humans were not worthy of helping with their sacred rituals? The couple this time, Reknul and Sivara, were both respected Jarahi scientists. They had been chosen to bond as part of a long-planned genetic match, but something was missing. We understand logic, Sivara said. We understand purpose. But this ritual asks for vulnerability, for emotion. That is difficult. Marcus thought for a moment, then smiled. Let's try something new, he said. Let's play a game. The two scientists looked confused. A game? Reknul asked. Is this part of the ritual? It is now, Marcus said. He took out a small earth object, a soft cube with different colors and symbols on each side. He called it the question die. When you rolled it, each symbol stood for a type of question. Joy, fear, memory, dream, compliment, regret. He rolled the cube. Blue, Marcus said. That's a dream. Reknul, tell us one dream you've never shared. Reknul hesitated. Then slowly he spoke. When I was a larva, I dreamed of flying. Not with wings, but with sound. I wanted to build a ship powered only by music. Sivara's antennae twitched. You never told me that. It felt foolish, he said. It's not foolish, she replied. It's beautiful. And just like that, the wall between them began to crack. By the end of the session, even the elders had stepped closer, quietly watching, their eyes wide. Later that day, Marcus returned to his guest room. His translator bot followed him. You have caused quite a stir, it said. Is that a good thing? For now, yes. Many are curious about the human way. But some fear change. The rituals have been the same for hundreds of years. I'm not trying to change them, Marcus said. I just want to help, that's all. The bot hummed. Intentions are pure, but results create ripples. Marcus didn't reply. He looked out the window again. The sky was turning a deep orange as the twin suns began to set. That night he was invited to a lantern walk, a ceremonial path where Jarahi pairs walked together under the stars, lighting floating lanterns as a sign of progress in their bonding. Marcus watched from a distance, holding a small lantern of his own. The couples he had helped passed by, some waving gently, their antennae glowing with warmth. He didn't feel like a stranger anymore. He felt connected. Just as he was about to leave the ceremony, a voice called to him. Dr. Hale? He turned to see a tall Zarahi with golden eyes and sharp, elegant limbs. She wore no robe, only ceremonial paint in spirals across her chest and arms. I am Ja Ren, first speaker of the Elder Council, she said. May I walk with you? Of course, Marcus replied. As they walked, she asked questions. Not just about the rituals, but about Earth. About human love, family, fear, and hope. You teach with softness, she said finally. But softness can reshape even the hardest stone. Marcus smiled. Sometimes kindness is more powerful than force. Jaren looked up at the stars. You may be more important to this season than we knew, but with attention comes danger. Be careful, chosen human. Not all. Welcome change, Marcus nodded slowly. The walk had become more than ceremonial. It was a warning. Back in his room, Marcus sat alone, thinking. He never asked to be important, but something was happening here. Something bigger than rituals and stories. Maybe this mating season was not just about the Jarahi. Maybe it was about the first step in true interspecies understanding, and he was right in the middle of it. Marcus Hale sat in the soft jelly chair in his room, staring at the small cube he used during his sessions. The question die had worked better than he expected. In just 2 days, he had helped 6 Jarahi couples begin their bonding rituals. Some cried, some laughed. One pair had even written a song together afterward. The Jarahi were quiet by nature. They hid emotions deep inside, believing that feelings should be private, never shared too easily. But now, after hearing human stories and songs, more and more were asking for help. Not everyone liked that. The trouble started the next morning. When Marcus entered the Chamber of Petal Light, his third session of the day, the room was nearly empty. Only one Jerahi stood there, a young male named Turva Mek. His bondmate hadn't come. She refused to come, Turva said, his voice heavy. Her family says your presence is disrespectful. They say our ways are not games. Marcus sat down slowly. Helping someone feel safe is not a game, but I understand. This is all very new. Turva looked down. I wanted to try. I saw how others changed, how they looked at each other afterward. Marcus gave a small smile. That's the thing about love. It's scary, especially when it's real. They sat together in silence for a while. Then Marcus stood. I'll be here if she changes her mind, he said gently. Later that day, as Marcus walked through the winding garden paths of the Jerahi Palace, he heard whispers behind him, not from the trees or the wind, but from actual Jerahi citizens. He is making us soft. He does not understand our sacred ways. First it is stories. Then what next? Will he change the pairing rules? Marcus pretended not to hear, but the words sat heavy in his chest. He had come to help, not to cause division. He decided to visit the Elder Council. Inside the Hall of Thought, 12 Jerahi elders sat in a circle of crystal chairs. Jaren, the first speaker, stood as Marcus entered. You requested an audience, she said. Yes, Marcus replied. I want to understand what's happening. Some are angry, some are afraid. I don't want to break your traditions. A deep blue elder with sharp markings across his shoulders leaned forward. You share feelings too freely, he said. You open hearts without caution. This is dangerous. Dangerous? Marcus frowned. I'm only helping people speak, to understand each other. Isn't that what your rituals are about? Another elder, older and quieter, spoke next. It is not your fault. You bring light, but light blinds some before it warms them. Jaren nodded. The mating season is sacred. For many cycles it has followed careful steps. Your presence changes the rhythm. Marcus looked around. Do you want me to stop? The room was silent for a moment. No, Jaren finally said. But we must be careful. You will continue, but with guidance. A Jerahi ritual guide will attend your sessions. A chaperone? Marcus asked. A bridge, she corrected, to keep peace, and to learn from you. That afternoon, Marcus met his assigned guide, Veltan, a quiet but curious Jerahi historian. He walked with Marcus to his next session, observing silently as Marcus helped another pair begin their emotional connection. Afterward, Veltan spoke. You speak like a gardener, he said, planting seeds. You do not force growth, but it comes anyway. Marcus smiled. Feelings are like that. They grow in silence, or through a song. Veltan nodded slowly. Perhaps we forgot that part of the ritual. Long ago, it began with shared dreams. Now it is mostly steps and structure. You didn't forget, Marcus said gently. You just needed a reminder. As the days passed, Veltan became more than just a guide. He asked questions, shared old Jerahi songs, and even helped Marcus rewrite one of the rituals to include storytelling. More couples came, some still hesitated. Others returned with glowing antennae and soft smiles. A small group of young Jerahi began learning earth instruments, making strange but beautiful music with local crystals and vines. Still, resistance remained. Late one evening, Marcus received a message. It was unsigned. You change what should not be changed. Leave now before the season ends. Marcus sat still, holding the message. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But it was clear. He had made enemies. The next morning, Marcus didn't go to the Chamber of Echoes. Instead, he asked to visit the library root, a giant living archive buried deep beneath the palace. It held records of Jerahi history going back thousands of years. Veltan guided him through the twisting root halls. Inside, glowing spores floated like tiny stars, lighting shelves made of bark and memory stone. Marcus placed his hand on one, of the stones, and it pulsed gently. A soft image appeared in the air, an ancient mating ceremony. He watched two Jarahi walk a spiral path, humming a tune together. At the end, they touched foreheads and spoke in turns. "What are they saying?" Marcus asked. Veltan translated slowly. "I'm not perfect, but I offer my story. Will you share yours?" Marcus looked at him. "They used to ask that? At the start of bonding?" "Yes," Veltan said. "But long ago it was removed. Too emotional, too risky. Maybe it's time to bring it back." That night, Marcus wrote a new ritual proposal. It included the old phrases, new questions, and options for music or shared dreams. He gave it to Veltan, who gave it to Jaren. The next day, the council met again. "This new ritual is not human," Jaren told them. "It is a bridge between what was and what can be." Some elders voted no, but most voted yes. The new ritual would be tested at the Great Pairing, the most important ceremony of the season, and they wanted Marcus to lead it. When Marcus returned to his room, he sat down, stunned. He had come to observe, to help. Now he was being asked to guide the highest ritual of the Jarahi bonding tradition. He felt proud, but also nervous. What if he failed? What if he made things worse? But then he remembered the first couple, Salen and Triva Cole, and how a simple Earth story had helped them begin their journey together. He took a deep breath. "I'm not here to change them," he whispered. "I'm just here to remind them who they already are." And that, he knew, was enough. The morning of the Great Pairing began with soft rain drifting through the sky like falling light. It wasn't real water, but sparkling pollen carried by warm wind. On Travak, it was called blessing dust, and the Jarahi believed it brought peace to those preparing for a great journey. Dr. Marcus Hale stood in front of a wide mirror made from polished stone. He adjusted his formal robe, a gift from the Elder Council. It was made from soft vines and threads that shimmered like starlight. He still wasn't used to the way it wrapped around his shoulders, but the meaning behind it made him stand straighter. Today was important. The Great Pairing was the final ritual of the mating season. It joined the most respected Jarahi pair, two leaders chosen not only for love but for what they represented: wisdom, unity, and hope. The entire planet would watch the bonding ceremony. And this time, a human would lead it. Marcus had read about this event many times, but now he was a part of it. Not just as a guest, but as the voice of opening, the guide who would begin the ceremony by helping the pair share their truths. And the chosen pair? Elder Jaren herself, and Veltan. Marcus froze when he first heard the news. "You're pairing?" He asked them the night before. Jaren's voice had been soft. "We were bonded once long ago, but our paths pulled us apart. Now we return, older, perhaps wiser." Veltan added, "We want to begin again, not just for us but for our people, and with your help it may be possible." Marcus had no words. He simply nodded. As the sun rose over the glowing forest, thousands of Jarahi gathered around the spiral arena, a natural space carved into the living ground. The spiral design represented the journey of connection, starting from the outer world, moving inward toward understanding. Floating crystals above the arena recorded the event. It was being broadcast to homes, schools, and even other planets in the Jarahi Alliance. Marcus stood at the center, holding a small stone symbol called the Truth Orb. An object passed between partners during the ritual, each time they spoke, something deeply personal. He looked up at the audience, so many faces, so many eyes. He took a breath. Then the drums began, deep, slow beats that sounded like a heart waking up. Jaren and Veltan entered the spiral, walking side by side. They were silent, focused, and glowing slightly from the blessing dust. Marcus waited until they stood before him. "Welcome," he said, his voice steady. "This is not a ceremony of perfection. It is not a test. It is a beginning, born from truth, from courage, from the willingness to be seen." He handed the truth orb to Jaren. She held it gently. I once believed that strength meant silence, that emotion made me weak. But without emotion, I became distant. I lost more than just time. I lost connection. She passed the orb to Veltan. I once loved you from afar, he said, his voice shaking slightly. And when we drifted apart, I blamed the world. But it was my fear that built the distance. I feared being fully known. The crowd was silent. Even the breeze had stilled. Marcus stepped forward. Now share not just your past but your hope. Jaren took the orb again. I hope for a new rhythm, one where tradition meets trust, where the old ways grow, not break. Veltan followed. I hope we become more than leaders. I hope we become mirrors, that others see themselves in our courage. Marcus placed his hand over theirs. With these truths, you have begun again. Not with force, not with fear, but with feeling. A soft hum filled the arena. The spiral path glowed beneath their feet. Their antennae touched, then slowly curled around each other. It was complete. The bonding had begun. After the ceremony, the Elder Council invited Marcus to a private garden space. Jirahi flowers bloomed in patterns that changed every few minutes, forming glowing shapes that looked like poems. Jaren stepped forward. Her face was calm, but her eyes shimmered. You helped us remember our beginning, she said. Veltan nodded, and reminded us that starting over is not weakness, it is wisdom. Marcus smiled. You two did the real work. I just asked the right questions. The council gathered in a circle. Another elder, one Marcus didn't know well, spoke. Next, we have discussed your role, and we have come to a decision. Marcus waited, heart beating. You are to be named Emissary of Emotional Diplomacy, a new role never given to an outsider. You will train others, guide our learning, and help shape the future of our bonding traditions. Marcus blinked. You're serious? Jaren touched her hand to her chest. Completely. This season has shown us that emotion is not a threat. It is a thread, a way to bind, not break. That evening, as the twin suns dipped below the trees, Marcus sat on a high balcony, watching glowing insects dance through the sky. The air was quiet, but his thoughts were loud. He had arrived as a translator, a helper. Now he was part of something, much bigger. He didn't feel powerful. He felt humbled. A soft knock came at the balcony door. Veltan stepped in, holding 2 warm cups of a sweet Jirahi drink. I thought you might need company, he said. Marcus took a cup and smiled. Thanks. They sat together, saying nothing for a while. Finally, Marcus asked, Do you think they'll really accept it? The changes? Veltan thought. Not all at once. Change comes slowly, but change that begins with respect can last. Marcus nodded. Then I'll do my best to make it last. Far away, on other stations and planets, messages were already being sent. Human helps guide sacred Jirahi ritual. First emotional ambassador named from Earth. New era of bonding, and diplomacy begins. But Marcus didn't think about the headlines. He thought about Salen and Triva Cole, the very first couple who had trusted him. He thought about Vernotel and Hissalan, who had once been too afraid to share a memory. And he thought about how something as simple as a question could change a life. The dawn after the great pairing rose bright and clear. Pollen spark glittered like morning snowflakes above the palace, and the wind carried a low, happy hum from every garden path. Dr. Marcus Hale watched it all from a balcony carved into living wood. Yesterday he had guided the highest ritual on Travak. Today he faced an even larger task, deciding what to do with the trust he had earned. Down in the courtyard, young Jirahi practiced the question die game he had invented. Their soft voices floated upward. Blue, speak a dream. Green, share a joke. The scene made Marcus smile, but it also reminded him of the promise he had given the council. Teach others so no single human would ever become a bottleneck again. What began as one nervous linguist helping shy couples was turning into a movement of open hearts, and movements needed structure. A new obstacle. Before sunrise fully colored the sky, a message crystal chimed on Marcus's table. He touched it, and a miniature image of Elder Krev, the harshest council critic, appeared. Chosen human, Krev began without greeting. A delegation from the Orthodox clans arrives by noon. They claim you have weakened tradition and demand a hearing. If you do not persuade them, the council may be forced to cancel your new post. Marcus's stomach tightened. He had known resistance lingered, but he thought the great pairing's success had softened it. Apparently not. Understood, he said. Where will they meet? In the Hall of Resonance. And Dr. Hale, speak with care. They listen for missteps. The crystal dimmed. Marcus exhaled slowly. Another test, but he was no longer alone. He tapped his comm patch. Veltan, are you awake? I need a partner in diplomacy. Veltan's cheerful reply came at once. Already on my way, friend. The Hall of Resonance. The hall was a vast oval, its walls layered with thin crystal sheets that caught sound and turned it into shifting patterns of light. 12 Orthodox delegates stood in a tight group, robes rigid, antennae held high and guarded. Elder. Krev introduced Marcus and Veltan, then stepped aside. Silence fell so thick Marcus could almost feel it press against his ears. He took a breath, remembered every couple he had helped, and began, not with arguments, but with a story. A long time ago on Earth, he said, 2 villages were divided by a river. They spoke different dialects and feared each other. One year, floods destroyed both harvests. Hunger forced them to meet on a broken bridge. They could trade anger, or trade seeds. They chose seeds, and together they survived. The bridge was never rebuilt of stone. Instead, every planting season they walked onto the broken boards, exchanged seeds and shared songs so the other side understood how to care for them. Soft lights rippled across the walls as his voice echoed. The delegates watched, unsure. Marcus continued, Your rituals are your seeds. I do not wish to replace them. I wish to understand them so we can all grow. Every question I ask, every song I play is a broken plank we step onto together. For the first time, one Orthodox elder lowered her antennae, a sign of cautious openness. Veltan stepped forward, speaking in flowing Zarahi. We are not discarding tradition. We are reopening its oldest petals. Look to the library root records. See how our ancestors once exchanged seeds of stories and dreams before bonding. Dr. Hale only revived what time forgot. He produced 2 memory stones. They glowed, projecting the ancient bonding phrase Marcus had unearthed. I am not perfect, but I offer my story. Will you share yours? A low murmur spread through the delegates. Some still frowned, but resistance softened. Finally, their leader spoke. If you claim to honor our roots, prove it publicly. Host one final demonstration. Let every clan judge with open eyes. Marcus nodded. Agreed. Tonight, at twilight. The twilight gathering word traveled fast. By sunset, the Star-Step Amphitheater, an outdoor arena shaped like a spiral galaxy, was filled. Not only Orthodox skeptics, but curious citizens, council members, even off-world visitors gathered. Floating lights formed a gentle dome above. At the center, Marcus stood with 3 volunteer couples, an elder pair married for 40 cycles, 2 young scholars, and, most surprising, a mixed pair from a distant allied species, the feathered Arcori. Their inclusion signaled that Travak's traditions might reach beyond one world. Marcus addressed the crowd in simple, amplified speech. Tonight is not about me. It is about method. Watch, listen, and decide whether sharing truths harms or heals. He guided each pair through a condensed version of the ritual. Breath of calm. Pairs synchronized breathing while a low flute played. Word weave. Rolling the question die. They answered aloud so all could hear. Echo song. Each couple hummed a motif. The partner repeated and shaped it. The elder pair admitted fear of growing irrelevant. The scholars confessed worry that love would hinder their careers. The Arcori-Zarahi duo voiced anxiety about cultural jokes gone wrong. The arena listened, rapt. After each confession, The partner responded not with advice, but with a phrase Marcus taught them. I receive your story, and I remain. At the end, Marcus invited the audience to hum the last melody together. Thousands of voices, Jarahi and non-Jarahi, rose in a single gentle chord that shimmered up to the light dome. When it faded, silence returned, deep, peaceful. Then applause erupted, stomping feet, tapping limbs, fluttering feathers. Even several Orthodox delegates clapped, though a few left early, still stiff with caution. Marcus looked at Veltan, relief flooding through him. Tonight, hearts had chosen seeds over anger. The decision the following morning, the council convened with Orthodox representatives. 3 hours later, Elder Krev found Marcus in the garden. They voted, Krev said. Expression, unreadable. Your title stands. The emotional diplomacy program will begin under joint guidance. I misjudged the strength of this path. Marcus offered a respectful bow. Thank you for helping us reach unity, Elder. Krev's antennae dipped, a rare gesture of humility, before he turned to join the others. Planting the future. Over the next weeks, Marcus and Veltan drafted a cultural exchange charter. Highlights empathy envoys, mixed teams of humans and Jarahi trained to guide bonding and conflict mediation across colonies. Story archives, dual language libraries where every allied species can record personal stories accessible to all. Shared festivals, a traveling celebration combining food, music, and question die circles, hosted on a new planet each cycle. Earth's United Interstellar Agency approved pilot funding within days of receiving the proposal. Enthusiasm back. Home was enormous, yet Marcus faced a choice. The council offered him permanent residence and leadership on Trevak. He could live among crystal forests, continue refining rituals, perhaps even build a home there. But his heart tugged toward a broader horizon. Farewell, and beginnings on. The evening before his scheduled departure, a quiet ceremony gathered on the launch platform. Lanterns floated upward, echoing the night he first felt accepted. Selene and Triva Cole presented him a small carved seed pod. It contains a single heartseed tree. Triva said, plant it wherever you settle. It will grow only if stories surround it. Veltan embraced him, a traditional touch of antenna to forehead. You started as translator, became teacher, left as bridge, Veltan whispered. Remember, bridges are walked both ways, come back. Jaren stepped forward last. Emissary Marcus Hale, we gift you the title Keeper of First Truths. Carry it with honor. Marcus's throat tightened. I will. He boarded the shuttle. As it lifted, he looked down at thousands of tiny lights, lanterns, antennae, seeds of possibility. The planet grew smaller, but the bond remained. Epilogue. Echoes among the stars. Months later, across 3 star systems, Marcus's simple tools were everywhere. Question dice crafted from local gems, echo songs woven into school lessons, breath of comm sessions broadcast on public channels before debates. On one asteroid station, a grizzled miner told a nervous co-worker, roll your human cube, talk it out before you break the drill. They laughed and did exactly that. On Earth, children planted heartseed saplings in city parks, each tree flanked by a speaker that whispered recorded dreams in dozens of languages. And aboard the diplomatic ship Unity's Promise, Marcus stood before a new group of recruits, Jarahi, humans, Arkori, and others, ready to become empathy envoys. He held up a fresh question die. Remember, he told them, this is not magic. It's permission. Permission to ask, to listen, to remain. That's how species thrive. They rolled the die together. The symbol for hope faced upward. Marcus smiled. In the vast silence of space, a human heartbeat, curious, patient, full of stories, sounded louder than any engine. And across worlds once divided by language and fear, that heartbeat was now a rhythm everyone could follow.